shi nyambo je sanje shendo medi oh yeah. Oh yeah, tata junde kansa lo kwale so 제유 란당 제와 드림게 탈에 추메 여사 대화 첨부 등하고 냠비 그거 아자 된 거였어 다 대동도와 뭐다 다주 가서래도 여사 마 뒤니 아니 다주 다 신삼 대세가나 나와 동사체 나와 동사 태양 아니 장매 그 동사한테 많이 봐 아니 내고 라심해 봐 따와게 깨다베데 라심해 봐 라심해 봐 시대 다지 치와체 아니 가서래 요유 대화 첨부 세대 요라 맞아봐체 요제 아니 가서 라심해 방이 요제 태양 대화 준비 이시 요유 대화 첨부 요제 요디 영화 제박이 라유디 영화 제박 요유 안 대화 첨부 대신 이시 예사가 상 니만 이제 예사가 셈데 대화점이 시공 어쩌와데 라 대대양 아니다 가서래 랑게 토절 주비 다들 도지 지가 가라 이리 가라 토절 주비 아니 가서래 저디지 아니 도지 지가 투대도 있으면 이시데 뭐이 냐바게 아자 체가 개발신데 수공 거래. Yeah.
So thus we arrived at the point then where, as we mentioned then at the end of this process of absorption, when we're talking about the absorption of the appearance of the deity into the Hong at the heart, and then the sequence of the absorptions of the letter Hong, syllable Hong, and the different parts of it are absorbed until finally the nada disappears, and that parallels then the process of the dissolutions that occur during the course of the death process, and finally, likewise then during the death process, and then likewise during the practice of the path, the way in which this constant mind of connate luminosity is actualized through the practices that are found there. And so when that mind has been actualized, made manifest, and then has taken on the character of great bliss, that is functioning then as the perceiving subject in this context. And then the object here is, as mentioned previously, that mere vacuity, but that vacuity is not just left as a vacuity alone. Rather, it is ascertained as having the aspect of being empty of intrinsic existence. So in that way, then you have the subjective aspect of these two in the character of great bliss, perceiving that vacuity, which is understood as being devoid of intrinsic existence, and those two are produced in that way, and so that here in the text it says that great bliss of luminosity, or I'm using luminosity again to translate what is often translated as clear light, that then when one sees that and holds that, one needs to hold that with the thought that is me. That is me, or I am that. It's translated usually as pride, or that identity that is formed in that way. One needs to hold that pride or identity of being that Dharmakaya, the Dharmakaya, which is those two. The object being the emptiness there, and then likewise the subject, which is this luminosity that's characterized by great bliss.
Oh yeah, that is the one. Oh, ngō ngā jā chū tī sū rībī gāchā tā lām jī gāchā nī kā tōng bī yō sā nī sī kā nā nī rībī gāchā tī rū kī tōng bā rō lām jī gāchā 아니 드바니가 도마 예미 드바데 시시 드바니가 돈비 여산이 라신 남다당 세가라 다 돈바니 지보 제디지 돈이 코라 라신하다 루부 남다크 오 라신지 치메 돈베 차나 라신 남다당 아니 녀보다 시시 드바가 차베 차나 아니 루부 남다크 오니 우스거래 와
So then at that time, the luminosity, which is devoid of both the object of negation as far as the object of negation having to do with reasoning, as well as the object of negation that pertains to the path, that luminosity is devoid or empty of both of those. Here the object of negation with respect to reasoning is intrinsic existence, which is negated through the reasoning employed to negate it. And then, so that's emptiness itself. And then the absence of the adventitious defilements is the purity, which is actualized through the path. And so that dimension of that type of negation is here. The defilements are including both the mental afflictions, the obscurations of the mental afflictions, as well as the obscurations that prevent the attainment of omniscience. So those are adventitious, and thus in the course of the path they're negated through the path. And so this then is called that which is devoid of both of those, and particularly this luminosity, which is devoid of, empty of both of those kinds of things to be negated, or negation to be negated. Is called it's called the essential body, usually translated in Swabhavika Kaya or the Ngoniku in Tibetan. And so that's called the essential body. And then having that identity of the great bliss, the luminosity, which is characterized by great bliss, cognizing the emptiness there, then that identity, thinking I am that, is called bringing the two aspects of the essential body into the path.
Oh yeah. 가서래 남제대 수구탱이 예매시 받아 다시 채와라 때네 다바점정하고 냠도 제주도 전반에 아니 추구 남제래 추구탱이 있어야 돼 공도시에 보고 남제 니도 추구 니도가 추구탱이 예매 받아 다시 채네 오 예매 받아 다시 채네 라신지 동방 다 가서 오니고 동바당 아니 이시 일미시 버기 다시 채와라 때네 다바점정하되 다바점데 다바점정하고 냠도 다바점정하고 냠도 다 대대란 아니 제주도 전반에 추구람제래
근데 대우치비 예시니 예시 추구람케테
추구지람제래 추구람제래 추구지 대라도 추구
대우치비 예시니 예시 추구
내가 지금 이신이 추구 남제를 했을 거니까 다중 제사인 봐 라신 남다 경우 누구니지 남제당 내가 준비 이신이 타두게 내가 준비 이신이 추구 남제를 다 추구 되니 예만 봐 다시 채와라 때네 다바점등 하고 냠도 아니 제주도 전바디 아니 치워주 다 디가지 추구지 남제를 했어 추구를 니 맞아 봐
So then, so that's the bringing the essential body into the path. The two dimensions of it being devoid of being devoid of. I'm sorry, it's called natural purity, which is the absence of intrinsic existence. That is, it's a basic character, and then it's also likewise devoid of the all of the adventitious defilements. So aspect of its purity, which is that lack of those adventitious defilements, those two dimensions of the essential body brought into the path in that way. And then likewise, then the gnosis of great bliss is called bringing the dharmakaya of the gnosis dharmakaya into the path. Then thus that gnosis of great bliss is given the name here, the gnosis dharmakaya, and bringing that into the path. So those two, if those two are made indivisible, the two kayas or two kayas, the essential kaya or body, and the dharmakaya which is the gnosis of great bliss, are made indivisible. Those are then function as the basis of designation, and then the I, which is merely designated upon that basis, with those two serving as the basis of designation. When you think I am that, I am that, is then, and you hold that single-pointedly, then that's called the bringing the dharmakaya in general, the generality of the dharmakaya into the path, where both the essential body aspect of the dharmakaya as well as the gnosis aspect of the dharmakaya are brought together. It's
oh yeah. 추구팅이 예매제 반 다시 참아라 때나 따바점증 아오년도 제주도 증바의 추구치람제래 대마인바 회사당 대신당 아오년바 숨보대 아니 민라와 숨다 민라와 롱롱와 민라와 숨냠도 세와데 세네 아니 사다바들 말에서 냠 좋아 사다가 연구 말에 있어서 좋아 뭐 예매바 다시 참아라 때나 아니 따바점증 아오년도 제주도 증바지고 그래.
So one has to do this in a way that the three things here are the luminosity, great bliss, and the thought, I am. Those three have to be brought together such that they're indivisible. Where it says that one has to think of that I am that, taking those two dharma aspects of dharmakaya. Here, the dharmakaya is divided into the essential aspect of the dharmakaya and the gnosis aspect of the dharmakaya. So those two forms of dharmakaya, taking those as and the indivisibility of those as the basis of designation upon which one is designating one is identifying oneself based upon them, using them as the basis of designation. Then, and thinking that single-pointedly, holding on to that, is again that bringing the generality of the dharmakaya, or the two of them combined together, into the path. But this sort of understanding of it will not come if one thinks that the luminosity, the great bliss, and the thought I am are three different things that are separate, that are then blended together. Rather, one has to see them as an integrated combination.
Oh yeah, then the let 아니 대신 전배 썰un기 미반남 아니 근데 이게 트림 체당 아니 어떤 말씀 그타 전주에서 대신 그 오지와라 소와 대다디 매와잠마도 아니 가서래 매와잠마도 무술알레는 처음부터 봐 인상 매와잠 체당 아니 저어디 과차답라 저 변제나 아니 팬토고 연구를 해서야 되라 레시 대전 전배 썰un기 미반남 매와잠체 과차달라 쪼르 잖나 전에 짱나 레바용 다 오늘서 아니 유당반이 또와당 아니 돈이 도비 시대생경 오 깨와데 아니 사모다만 우미다와 많이 봐도 영향 매바인장 어디 순거래.
So now, in reality, until one has achieved the view of the middle way, one's not able to actually directly do this. Rather, when in the process of doing the visualizations and so forth, one does so in a fashion of sort of believing that you're doing it and doing it through belief, rather than actually doing it as such. In order to actually do it as such, one necessarily has to have first achieved the Madhyamaka view of the middle way in order to do that. So here, this explanation of it that's given is simply so that people who are beginners in doing this are able to have some way of thinking about it, so that they can have that kind of belief and a basic understanding of what the process is about. But again, until one has actually developed the Madhyamaka, the view of the middle way, then one can't do this in fact.
예, 제가 용조지 따와테 많이 팔 다디 나와 랭랭세 가라 같이 나와 라시지 주와나베 나와 랭랭딩 나네 아니 다 토도년년 지시장 라마 구숨중 어위 남샤 구슬 남지 그 남샤기 남 탐제 고사요 말이 대면은 아지 남지 안에 쏟아 차와 임베 다 가서 냠내라 집어 자고 그래.
So then, until one has attained the view of the middle way through a thorough analysis of it, then no matter how much one explains for a person at that level what this kind of appearance is, and out of that kind of sort of appearance and what is supposed to appear in that context. And however much one explains how high it is and how much one should listen to it and so forth, then since a person that hasn't achieved the Madhyamaka view is not in a position to be able to understand the basic presentation of the character of the the guru as the three kayas, that kind of the character of that won't be able to understand that. And likewise, if one doesn't have that, then since one is separate from the very vital heart of the path of unexcelled mantra, then one should. It's imperative that one should esteem this explanation and explanation.
Oh yeah, that tender in that Tajun called the Shabanasi Chene, now at Donsan, Neo Ranchi Meba, New Dawa Chimbo, Teta with Dejan Tiang, and yet Rango Totachi, and bad Doji be to the Tony to be seeing. What they Chabashin Ting, I know what they don't. The watching be see Yimbala, and then number and the castle, young one would Chugan Samchi, around your satella, never sitella, some name. Young one would Chugan the also Chuala, and it up, Dojichi Shachichani, and it's Giet, Dojichi Shachichani, or Gietella, Dejan Rani Lama La, said Daybury. I was now Donsan Nora Simeba, New Dewa Chambo, Teta with the Tonganism be sitting, the Digim de Bear to two the Donny be see Yimba, Chapel Sinde, the Sambian Gane, and it the donkey city, Navy Gane, or the donkey see Yimba La, number young but two guns and chicken number, and the Sata.
So then, out of that state where one is, one thinks that one is in the form of this Dharmakaya, and that is you, and that I am that. Then one realizes that is the actual essence of the heart of, in this case, Lord Vajrabhairava, which is you, and you think that it has as its character great bliss, and that it is indivisible bliss and emptiness, that emptiness and bliss are fused in this indivisible fashion. And so within that understanding of oneself as being that, as mentioned above, the Dharmakaya in the two aspects that were discussed previously, then one thinks that that takes on the form of a blue light, and that when one arises out of that state of indivisible bliss and emptiness and arises in the form of a blue light. So then, when one arises in the form of that, out of the Dharmakaya state into the blue light, that then is going from the phase of the path where one has brought the Dharmakaya into the path, into the phase where one, has used the death process into the path and has taken on the form of the Dharmakaya. One then goes from that state into, when one arises in the form of the blue light, one is taking the intermediate state phase of the three phases into the path, and when one appears in that form of the blue light, then one is in the form of the Sambhogakaya. And then that blue light, when we think that we see that transformed, and one instantaneously arises in the form of Vajrabhairava with one face and two arms and all of the various hand implements and so forth, then that is taking the rebirth process into the path and is using that to actualize the Nirmanakaya.
아니 된다고 하더라. 가서 가자 송하다 냠도 드니 란도지 제주 스사회 아니 뒤 투기 등에서 홍의라 요새 최외 아니 니지 대달라 파배 니 타지 답의 시당 지도다 답의 라보자 다 니지 가서 니지 장주 해야 돼. 대생활라 라니 라마라 칸데 사요굴래 요새 최 초주 최외 니지 신라배 세가라 아니 니지 신라배 다바란 좀 봐시 연전지 그배쳐봐 비수서와 주로 세가라 아니 니지 그 테마단데 아니 다바란 좀 봐시도 제도 심발.
So then once one is arisen in the form of Vajrabhairava, and one has maintained that thought that this is, I am this, I am this. And so your identity is that of Vajrabhairava. You think you are Vajrabhairava. And then you think from your heart, there's the Hung is there in your heart, and from that light rays are emanated out, as discussed previously, and from at the tips of those light rays, they hit the entirety of the environment as well as the beings that inhabit the environment of the entire universe. And they transform the environment and the beings into pure a Buddha field and inhabited with pure with Buddhas in the form of Vajrabhairava. And then so that is what is discussed in the first verse there in the Lamatripa, where it says that out of this state of great bliss, I myself appear in the form. I appear clearly in the form of a guru deity. And from my body, a mass of light rays is emanated out into the 10 directions, and by empowering or blessing the entirety of the environment and the beings inhabiting the environment, they become completely purified, totally purified, and established in a form such that they have the most excellent kind of good qualities and perfected in that way.
Oh yeah. 단 니지기 처마 자야지 요새 초월할 때는 아니 니지기 처마지 타마지 나세 그봐 네 탐제가 타마가 나세 자네 네 탐제 샤야 칸다 기타다 사다 하면 나르지 거야 또 김바리 그봐 라라 타마베 나세 자베 사용 아자 진바 니지라 타마지 나세 장네 네 탐제 샤야 칸다 기타다 하베 하면 나저도 권바 아니 최대 남라야 타마지 나세 장위 아니 뭐 대동 그 인바라 남바 최자 소진 남바 송하데 다더니 베르마제 라마초바 코란을 제서나 두시어와 아니 가서 대생활라라니 남마라 카데사요 꿀라요서 추주 추가 니지 친라베 타바란 점 바시데 꿰베 제와 피순 초와 줄제 되니 이가라더니 오마하고 스티 제와잖아 나주 친지라 아니 니지 친지라나 제가 마찬 오마 송게 나주 친지라바 친이 아니요 뭐 대동거 이시 힘발라 남바 최저 소스 남바 아니 제가 안보 주고 지위도 대동거 이시 체바제 집이 사단 파나나 그劝담제 수요하러 아니야 비비주다 윤윤주주다.
So then, what you've done then is by taking on the identity of first the Dharmakaya, then the Sambhogakaya, then the Nirmanakaya, and appearing in the form of Vajrabhairava, and then you've, through emanating the light from the Hung at your heart, those light rays have transformed the entirety of the environment, as well as the beings that inhabit the environment of the entire universe, and transform them. And so what that has done then is enabled you to overcome your misapprehension of things as being ordinary. This apprehension of things as being ordinary sees the universe as if it is just an ordinary place, and the beings in it as if they're ordinary beings. So through this practice, then one overcomes that apprehension of things as being ordinary. Then, once one has done that, then one purifies. There are different ways to do it, but one can purify the other objects, like the substances that one uses in the course of the offerings and so forth. And for example, if one's doing the inner offering, then one can do the purification of those and transformation of them, so as to overcome, again, this apprehension of them as being ordinary as well. And then, or a way to do it in a more brief form is if by the recitation of the 3 syllables Omahung 3 times, one can transform the elements that one is going to use for offerings, such that, as the verse 8 in the Guru Puja says, their character is gnosis, and their aspect is in the form of the inner offerings and the substances for offerings, and the functions of each of these individual things is such as that, so that they operate as the objects of enjoyment of the 6 senses, and they have they're generated in a way such that they have the special kind of gnosis of great bliss, and they're able to generate the gnosis of great bliss, and so that the earth as well as the sky and all of space, the entire expanse of that is completely filled with inner, outer, and secret offerings, clouds of these inner, outer, and secret offerings, such that, and it's filled in a way such that it is completely inconceivable.
Oh, that's quite little. Oh, yeah. It was like that. And I said, 간테사요 꿀라요서 초지 trewe 니지 지나면 타바란 점을 꿰베 잡아 무슨 소와 주르르 세대 나 되게 가르래서나 랑 사지고와디 군장 가르래서나 아니 랑사 맞잖아 아니 니지 타마병 아자지 아니 가서래 니 탐자 타마 이거 타마가 나신 정화당 아니 참마지 네 참제 샤야카도 깨와라서 민유바 난지 나지 시기라 민유바 인장 아니 라나 토마 라라 참마지 나시 점이 치도 사용 아자지 그러와 다 라사인 아자단 난조게 아자단 덴베 아니 니지 정말 자야 되라 아니 니지 타마베 나센지고 가소래 자외 치대 니지를 타마 나시자에 그도 아니 니지 탐제 아니 니 탐제 샤야 칸다 아니 지 탐제 하다 함메라시도 꼼바 야
So why, you might ask, why does one generate oneself in the form of the deity? And then first, so one has to do that in order to overcome the apprehension of oneself as being as ordinary. That kind of identity of one identifying oneself as being ordinary, that kind of self-concept makes it impossible to engage in the subsequent practices, which are the purification of the environment and the inhabitants of the environment. And then and likewise the purification and transformation of all of the substances which are used in the course of the offerings. So that's why one first takes on the identity of the deity in order to be able to perform all of the rest of the subsequent practices that one does. So then once one takes on that identity of being the deity, then one is in a position to be able to purify the environment and likewise the inhabitants of the environment. And then once one has done that, one has transformed the environment itself into the mandala, and the beings of the universe, the inhabitants of the environment, into the deities that inhabit the mandala.
오래들이 최전나라 타마지 나신 장데 아니 가서래 뭐 대동그 이시 임발라 아니 남바 아니 최저 소세 남바 샤와 네.
So we think then, likewise, that with respect to the the substances that are used in the materials that are used in the offering practice, that they have as their nature, their basic character is that they are inseparable bliss and emptiness. They have that character, and then we think that those substances have as their function the ability to generate this within they're able to function as objects of enjoyment for the six senses. Six senses, yeah.
Oh yeah, 되게 다야게 뭐 이세라 뭐 대도니 좀 비시 임발라 아니 남바 최저 소스 남바 칠레 아니 안보 주고지 대동거 이시 차바장의 집이 아니 대전자의 최저의 사단 바나나 그 탐담제 어서카의 친나사의 아니 시비스니 삼제메자와 주루로 살다 된다디 말.
So that's the basic meaning then of this verse, where it says that in their character they are gnosis, and in their aspect they appear in the form of the inner offering, the materials, substances that are used in the inner offering, and the other substances that are used within the offering practices here. And then each of their individual forms is such that they operate as sub-objects that can be utilized by their function is that they're able to be utilized by the six senses. And then again it says that this special character is that they are indivisible bliss and emptiness, and they thus have the ability to generate the special gnosis of bliss and emptiness when they're utilized. And then one thinks that the earth, the sky, and space, the entirety of expanse of that is completely pervaded by, filled with inner, outer, and secret offerings in the form of vast clouds, and that they're filled in a way which all of space is filled in an inconceivable fashion.
Oh yeah, that thing, 아니 다 초소비신 초신 아니 사다바 아니 제가 이세바 짠자바 아니 야라 든지 쳐봐 보아 아니 소다바 아니 왕시 칠럽 스타트 마체 가라면 온천을 샤공과 마체네 다 방체도 선거하래.
So then, after that, then comes all of the without giving up that notion of great bliss, that state of great bliss, then oneself arises, again to review, arises in the form of the body of the Guru deity, and one purifies the environment and the inhabitants, transforms them, empowers the offering substances as well as the inner offering and so forth. Then after one has done that, then one visualizes the field of assembly. You invite the gnosis beings to come, and you have them absorb into the visualized form of the assembly field that you've visualized. And then once you've done that, you do the other practices that follow in the Guru Puja, such as making the offering, performing the 7-part worship, doing the offerings and so forth, as well as reviewing the entirety of the stages of the path.
Oh yeah, that's so this are debatella. And they don't yemel halayamba, Kunsan shooting tribute. And in Lama the devil on the Duke Passan Chamber said, they don't yemel halayamba, say Kapti, they don't yemel halayamba, said they don't they. That touching on the Shabanachi, tap the watching be she. Oh, there was Tendam la Shua, say, and there was tap castle, the watching be she down, tap the watching be she down. And you don't buy any messy piggy, and you say that they don't use, they don't eat me bars. Oh, tell it that castle, Salam said, and Sundala, and the castle, Jitan Besanam can't do it near in bed. Salam said, Yana Salam said, and the Nangala Salam says, Shawanachi, they don't eat me Salam Yambas, that you just take, but.
So then the first line of the next verse is verse 9 in the translation, where it says that indivisible bliss and emptiness. That is then again referring to the bliss. Bliss here is the method side of the path. That gnosis of great bliss as the perceiving subject, and then emptiness is the object perceived by that. And those two, again, in this context, are fused indivisibly. And so the first words are that the two, bliss and emptiness, indivisible. And so that's indicated by that. And then it says, in the vast path of the gods. The word path of the gods here, there are ways of explaining that. One is that the sky is the path upon which the worldly gods, they're able to travel in the sky.
Oh yeah. Castle. Sanam, Sosinga Sanam, Kanto Shubi Nedang. And the Kanto Chambata Kane, Shipaki Nayin by Inza, Chinshiki number Inza. And they take a kind of Halam say down. And the young, that is you are not saying, Jitembelana can't do it now in bed. And Halam say, what that tender way, they don't make Halam Yambas. Gunsan tribute, say Gala, and Gunsan de, and the chances of a good sample say down. Or tender chances of a good sample, you banana, they don't image ye. And it's simply any cheating like Gunsan cheating, said it. What that they don't image is be any cheating like Gunsan cheating, say you cannot. That chap Shabani banana tea, or they don't image like Gunsan cheating Shabbat Jan. They don't image like Gunsan cheating.
So then with regard to this path of the gods, one can explain this in multiple ways. Again, one is that the worldly gods reside in the sky, or in the sky. That's one way of discussing it. Or one can say also that this is where the assembly field itself comes to and resides in the sky or in space. So one can gloss that. And it says it's a vast, open path of the gods. So within that, then there's a cloud of offerings of Samantabhadra. Samantabhadra is the bodhisattva to whom where the prayer of Samantabhadra is recited, and the various offerings and so forth appear. And so as it appears in that offering practice, there's the clouds of the offerings of Samantabhadra filling this space. And, but one can understand, likewise, there's different ways to explain this. However, we can say here that those clouds of offerings of Samantabhadra are themselves indivisible bliss and emptiness.
단다 시원에 대통령이 좀 비시라 제 지금 수미에 변하네 단다디 대통 이미지 시지 아니 심비 아니 군산 천지 attribute
So that we can explain this actually in three different ways. We can say that the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, as we know, has emanated vast clouds of offerings to perform worship of the Buddhas. And so we can see these clouds of offerings as having that character. Or we could say that the vast clouds of offerings of Samantabhadra are themselves bodhicitta, and see them in that way. And bodhicitta, which is held or governed by the gnosis of non-dual bliss and emptiness, or we can discuss it as being non-dual bliss and emptiness itself.
Oh yeah, that much is showing that. 아니 군산 최진 집이 너무 몇도 대부 용제 도쿄 바산 전비체 다 바산 지신 아니 최대 뛴데 너무 몇도 대부 용제 도쿄 바산 전비체 동안바위人间 치딩 아니 동안바위人间 치딩 저거세 동안바위 人间 치딩에서 다시 다 생각 좀 보자지 대비 치定도是吧我这个나 가서래 사대부 거야지 군장 가래래 sana 아니 생각이 근데 가서래 전생 하나야 미치거든 아니 대라 탐자 생각이라 안에 전생 시한 탐자 잡고 와 나신 라마야 아니 되다 무디 탐자라 봐 자신 아니 대다기 주발 미니바 아니 또다 미치바라 써와 아니 투지연대 또다 미제발라서와 여바데 천제도 안에 생기디비 치히딩도 사대와 되임바래.
So then we say that there's a great tree, a great fruit tree, which is completely, entirely beautified by leaves, flowers, and fruit. And at the peak of that, at the peak of that fruit tree is a five-faced throne, which is blazing and is made out of the precious things. And here it is. Here it's in the text. It actually says the five-faced. That actually is a metaphor for a lion, and the lions supporting the throne that we visualize in the corners of the various lions, that 8 lions supporting the corners of the throne are given as in part of the visualization as there are various explanations of what the lion symbolizes. The roar of the lion is such that it terrifies all other beings, all of the other wild animals in the forest. And then likewise, the lion is never is not frightened of any other animals in the forest. Singigi.
아니 가지 전생 탐제라 미치신 아니 진승기라 전생 다 탐제 아니 잡고봐 나신 어디 라마양 뒤다 미디바 탐제라 봐 자신 대다기 저와 미니바 아니 또부당 또주다 미치발라 소위 연단다 댐바 첨바
So this visualizing the the lions there has a special ability to symbolize that. As I mentioned, then lions are not frightened of any other wild animals in the forest, and all of the other wild animals are frightened of lions. And so this symbolizes then the fearlessness that the guru possesses, and establishes also a special kind of connection between yourself and the guru who's seated upon the throne, so that oneself will not be separated from that guru, will not, and that oneself will also be able to actualize all of the special powers, which include fearlessness, among which are fearlessness.
我这样真的出去人的结尾定是干了，俺那白马党、尼马党、大娃是他们写了村下党，白马党了这些，他们就进去嘛给我准备气度，俺那他们写了准备，俺那白马党、尼马党大约经过去定都，对出去人的结尾定。 各种什么的，在于那么三界根据王国预先起了那么个，俺那各种什么的个，各种什么的，在于那么三界根据我呢，俺那那么我们准备考，准备搞那下去唱呢中国建，茶叶确切要不然下就是看运动是，但俺这是个嘛呀，就是老熊，就过在这。
Then on top of the throne, there's also a lotus, a sun, and a moon disk. And in the lotus, upon the lotus, there's a moon disk, a sun disk on top of that. Upon that, then it says in verse 10 of the translation here, upon cushions of a lotus, sun, and full moon sits my root guru, he who is kind in three ways, in the essence of all Buddhas, and has appearing in the aspect of a saffron-robed monk with a monk holding the robes, the saffron-colored robes, or bearing them, with one face, two arms, and a radiant white smile. His right hand is in the gesture of expounding the Dharma. His left hand is in the meditative posture, holding a begging bowl that is filled with nectar, and he's draped with three robes of lustrous saffron, and his head is graced with a pandita's gold-colored hat.
Oh, yeah. 아니 뒤쪽가면 눈선 안 봐. 차야 쳐져 이런 뒤쪽가면 눈선 안 봐. 다 뒤에 뒤쪽가면 나와면 봐. 체이지 치워면 나와면 봐. 맨지지 치워면 봐. 체이지 사바면 봐. 이시그 뒤지 다 뒤에 송구하래 대체. 뒤쪽가면 눈선 안. 근데 구금단대 최고 쓰면서 선도 변샤 울라제 세나다 장고 남아 정가와 첨보기. 아니 남아 잖아. 이름 붙이 꾸이나 받고 나시 전에 최고에서 선도 변샤 뒤쪽 가면서나 구금단대 최고에서 선도 변샤 울라제 제가라 아니 탐지선바 아니 장고나마 정하고 주면 남아 전도 사와대 사대와 대체.
So this is what we're visualizing in this context is the Manjunatha Guru, Lord Tsongkhapa, in this bodhisattva form that is appearing in the form of a monk, as it's described here, and then upon his head is a pandita's hat, the pandita meaning a scholar of the Indian scholars. And so he's wearing that hat, and so this is the form within which we're visualizing the guru in the form of the Je Tsongkhapa, in this form of a bodhisattva.
Oh yeah, today 구금단대 최고에서 선도 변샤 울라제 투가 잡다 도체 장마 샤지 찬이 군종. 어제 투가라 아니 다 가서래 투가 잡다 도체 장마. 투가라 투왕도 아니 투왕 투가라 아니 도시창 그 투가라 아니 등에서 뭐 홍이 삼아 그 도야 임바리 하고서
So at
그때 남아서 냐 다시와 남아 줘봐 그때 내가 로를 된 거라 고민도.
So at his heart then is the overlord Vajradhara, mighty Vajradhara. Now, what this actually indicates then is that the way the visualization is done, you have at the heart of Je Tsongkhapa appearing in this bodhisattva form as a monk with the pandit hat on. At his heart is Shakyamuni Buddha in the Munindra form, which is where he's normally seen with in the posture of conquering Mara. And then at his heart, the heart of Munindra, Shakyamuni in the Munindra form is Vajradhara. And then at his heart is the syllable Hung.
Oh, yeah. 도지 수나 인제 마진 현재 대도 러베치 세가 투가게 아니 도지 창화돼야 임 도지 인제 말라 취대 아니 대통령이나 바로 투가 잡다 도지 창화시 도지 수나 인제 현재 대도 러베치 로 아니 되게 남아인제 제지 자시 찾아出당한다 된 남아인제 제지 자시
No. So then, so again, in the here in the text it just says at his heart is the overlord Vajradhara and the mighty Vajradhara with one face, two hands, and a blue body, and he's holding the bell and Vajra. And embracing Vajradhatvishvari. Vajradhatvishvari is the name of the female aspect of Vajradhara. And so embracing her. And he's delighted by the sport of connate bliss and gnosis. And he's ornamented with various precious things, precious ornaments. And his body is draped in precious divine silk.
Oh yeah. And because 투가tab다 도제 장원 샤지 찬이 운동 도지선에 인지마지 현재대 도로야지 나머지 gen지다지 하자다지 나서루 세가다 얘기 아니 라마 제나마 남바젠도 공부할 탐치선바 T2가 아니 투완당 아니 가서래 T2가 도시장 공부하디 23바 아니 23바 도시장 그 투가라 아니 등의 홍유 공부하디 등의 숨바 전에 등의 삼바 숨제 도시장 공부 말이
and the 투왕 soldabiol
투왕 그 투가라 도시장이 아니 투가라
So then this visualization as it's given here is showing the way in which one visualizes the three beings encased one within the other. And the first of these, that is the Guru deity appearing in the form of Lord Tsongkhapa in the aspect of a monk, is it's called the Samya Sattva or pledge being. Technically, pledge being is the way it's usually translated. And then at his heart, the Vajradhara that's at the heart of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha in the heart of Lord Tsongkhapa, is the Jnana Sattva, the Gnosis being. And then at the heart of Lord Vajradhara is the syllable Hung is the Samadhi Sattva or the meditation being, usually is the way that's translated.
Oh yeah. 300件越是东巴假设那个越是安尼才什么是不是在你的背上上边解释这吧安尼也是把东个越也是报道面不特别远啊300件越是东嘛越是那假设那个也是假设你那越数安那需要停止上了大钱这天
So then they possess, they're ornamented with the marks and signs, that's the 32 so-called major marks and the 80 so-called minor marks. They have, by having those ornaments, then they emit vast light rays which radiate out from them. And thousands of light rays, and so these appear in the form of a rainbow, which has 5 colors, and so they're the 3 beings there are surrounded by surrounded by that rainbow.
Oh yeah, 요새 나가 자전다고 TP 요새 아니 도시 지중 그 쇼바. 된다위 아니 쇼비 아니다. 풍부남다 대생아 세가나 아니 된다위 라마 long上 토한 도시 상거 꾸라 아니 사원 두반에 두바기 도시 레변 꾸라니 아니 자와 넘버 쇼 소나 시잖니 아니 류지 그라도 고고야 이 말에 류지 중고치라.
So then that is the Guru Buddha Lord Tsongkhapa in this form is then sitting in the Vajra asana, Vajra sitting posture, and take in that way. And it says here his 5 aggregates are the purified 5 aggregates are the 5 Tathagatas. And this is as it's explained in the body mandala of Guhya Samaja, the secret assembly, Tantra and the secret assembly.
Oh yeah, that can do this and 풍부난다 대생아 세가나 지오라 수분 지오 짐바 인가 대와 산내 숨라 아니 수지 본부 지오라 수분 나바타베 다자 하샤와 남나괴 짐바라 두시 나바타베 아니 남 다자 하샤와 여바며 괴 인가를 남시지 나바타베 다자 하샤와 아니 가서래 미제바 괴 대와라 수분 나바타베 다자 하샤와 린중괴 아니 산에서 아니 가서를 도시 부분 나바타베 다시 샤와데라 아니 다 대주 받고 해야 돼 그거야 인다 풍분 남다 대생아 세대 집어 남바나데 준비 여밤에 대화는지 주네 아니 인가 미지 봐 대화는지 주면 라이자와 대주 봐 전에 다 도시 거야 이 말이잖아.
So then at the 5 points of the Guru Buddha's body, that is at the crown of the head, at the throat, at the heart, at the navel, and at the secret place, the 5 Tathagatas are placed. And the 5 Tathagatas represent the purified forms of the 5 aggregates, so that you have at the crown of the head the purified form of the physical aggregate or the body is appearing in the form of Vairochana, the Buddha Vairochana, and then at the
지오라 수분 나바타베 다자 하샤와 나바난제.
At the head, top of the head, the purification of the physical aggregate is appearing in the form of appears in the form of Vairochana.
dimala ane dushi jibu nabatabе daja ha샤와 여바며 거에.
So then, Drimbala. At the throat, thank you. At the throat, then is the purification of the aggregate of sensation, or sometimes it's translated as feeling, appears in the form of Ratna Sambhava. I'm sorry, pardon me, sorry, Amitabha.
Oh yeah, that didn't you got namshi jibu nabatabe daja ha샤와 미쳐봐.
So then at the heart, the transformation and purification of the consciousness, aggregate of consciousness, appears in the form of akshobhya.
아니 때와라 주부 나바다베 다자 하샤와 린제주네 린중.
So at the navel, then actually the transformation and purification of the aggregate of sensation appears in the form of Ratnasambhava, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. So I mistranslated the one for the throat, which should be the aggregate of ideation there, I think.
Oh yeah.
Ideation, yeah. So usually it's translated as perception sometimes, but I translate that as ideation.
That's 산에 네 산에서 가서 그래. 두시지 부분 나바타베 다자 하샤와 돼 주바테 데 다두시데 제거야 이 말에.
No. So then finally at the secret place, the transformation of the aggregate of activity, that's the way I translate what is often translated as compositional factors or other translations of that as well. Samskara appears in the form of the Tathagata Amoghasiddhi.
인자 풍부 남다 대생아 제 저와 풍부가 다 감시 유무시 세가나 감시 유무시 세가나 아니 감대라 상감 중감 명감 용감 예장이자 아니 때와 상관 남바 답에 다살하샤 봐 제마 인가 중간 남바 답에 다살하샤 봐 아니 마마기 진바라 명감 남바 답에 다살하샤 봐 거가모 지주 교를 안에 농간나 바탑에 하자하샤와 드라마 제니가나 감시 유미시 두신 말에.
So then the five elements, kamshi yumshi, I'm sorry, the four elements appear in the form of the four goddesses, Buddha goddesses, and so the four elements there are earth, water, fire, and wind. And earth element appears so earth appears in the form of lochana at the navel. At the heart, the Mamaki appears as the transformation of the element of, which one? Fire? Wind, sorry, I don't know this. At the heart, I'm sorry, at the forehead, the transformation of the element, the transformation of the fire element appears in the form of the Buddha goddess Pandaravasini.
Oh yeah, that didn't. 지오라 lunganabatabe tajalhashawa. Ani dramacheni.
And at the top of the head, the transformation of the wind element appears in the form of Tara.
대체가 가나다 되게 감시 юм시 세트 되긴 말이 감시 юм시 세가나 상감 중감 명감 남바탑이 다잘하되라 юм시 어디속체.
So that's the four elements when they're purified. Here, I've been saying transformed, which is not wrong, but purified is literally what is said here. When they're purified, then they appear in the form of these four mothers, the four that were listed.
Oh, yeah. That didn't match every Ghana. And then comes you, JJ, that you think much change some bang, say, Ghana, JJ, Migi go so dojama. Midusani, Nawa China doje, Midusani, Nawa China doje, Nala Namni, Jela Jita Wanju, Ningala Jambe, Sanesu Tipsy, Signamla, and a Kundu Sambo. That was called Midusani. So as far as the cognitive fields or cognitive spheres, then those appear in the form of bodhisattvas, and the eyes appear in the form of Samantabhadra. The two ears appear have the aspect of Vajrapani. The nose Nala. Namkanyingpo. Of Akasha Garbha. The tongue in the form of Lokeshvara. And the heart, at the heart is which kichi is that? Nikar Jamba. I'm sorry, Nikar Jambe. Jamba. So at the heart then is Maitreya, and then at the Sangnila, 안에서 집안남세.
So, and then at the secret place is Sarvanirvana Vishkambi.
제제 자주 청남 세대 어떻게 청남 장주에 망네. 되네 다 도제망아 오데 미 도제바 수 도제마 다 도제마 치 도제마 로 도제마 리자 도제마 아니 어데 미국 고수 도제마 나유고 다 도제마 나유고 치 도제마 장주 선바 대다다 안에 대다라 샤조고 나바자도 나유고 다 네유고 치 도제마 지유고 로 도제마 도지고 리자 도제마
So then, likewise, at the openings for all of the sense organs, there are goddesses that are given the names of the sense objects perceived by those senses. So, la kendi nyemason tambo. Tambo.
미국고 수 도제마. 나유고 다 도제마.
So mikikola. So at the so at the eye, there's she's called Rupa Vajri, which is the adamantine goddess of visible form. At the ear is Shabda Vajri, who is the adamantine goddess of sound, and then at the
미국고 수 도제마 나유고 다 도제마
Radojima.
다 도제마
Shabda Vajri.
나유고 치 도제마
Then at the mouth, I'm sorry, at the nose, opening of the nose is Gandhavajri, who's the adamantine form of scent.
아니 제유고 로 도제마
And then at the tongue is Rasavajri, who's adamantine taste.
아니 도지고 리자 도제마 도지고 산내를 고고하래
도지고라
리자 도제마
Rikchi Dojima. And then at the opening of the Vajra is the Sparsha Vajri, who's the adamantine object of tactile sensation.
야 되게 풍부남다 대생아 감시 유미시 제제 자주 청남 자주 제제 자주 청남 자주 선방 세가라 다 된다지 자세 어느데 자주 선방 세자 아니 예위 세자지 제제 아니 이제 저는 좀 바쁘다 좀 니지 치도 야나 쳐요 안 보니 세 바쁘 셔와니 아니 유지 바쁘라 마셔봐 아니 우달이 셔와인 바래 우달이 채송이 배잖아요 여삼초 너 바쁘 셔와 유지 보라 마셔봐 울라 채네 아니 바쁘다 좀 니지 치도 대 아니 가소래 매와 잠마도 나바 공고 말해서 다 단지 준선 나바 잠라 고고해 채 바쁘다 좀 니지 치동 채 되네 라바야라 신지세 라바야라 신지메 두바 안에 칼라탄데 야
So then that then is going through here again the body mandala, where it says that the four elements are the four mothers, the sensory spheres and the nadis. That is the channels and all of the connecting tissues, as well as the joints, are actual bodhisattvas. And then the next line, this is in verse 12, says that the pores are 21,000 arhats. Here, often some people take this as referring to the pores of the body, but there's actually texts which explain it perhaps better as referring to the sort of openings through which the hair arises on the top of the head, on top of the head of the Guru Buddha here. So that maybe is a better explanation of this. And then the limbs are are called mighty, wrathful, fury kings. Fury kings is a name for sort of wrathful beings.
다 걸려서.
양락주 왕분이
양락주 왕분이 세가라다. 아니 초고 주고 사대 가와레에서나 라바야라 신세시. 라바야라 현지미 도봐. 아니 칼라 단진. 아니 도시를 뒤지치와. 야.
So the right hand, right arm is Yamantaka. The left hand, Lakpayun.
Yeah, Shingimituba.
Shingimitupa. The left hand is Aparajita.
Oh, Kala Danding.
The mouth is Hayagriva.
Dojela Digi, and Digikiwa.
Dutsikiwa. So the Vajra then is Amarta Kundali.
Oh, Bumba Yevi Zawa, Cho Miowa. Bumba Yevi Zawa, Cho Miowa. Cho
Mio. Kari.
Bumba Yevi Zawa.
Bumba Ye. The right shoulder is the wrathful Achala.
Bumba Yevi Zawa, Cho Debijao.
The left shoulder is La.
Cho Debijao.
Dubigyao. I don't know the Sanskrit for that one. Takiraja. So the left shoulder is Takiraja.
Oh, and it Bimoyala Yungajan. Bimoyala Cho Yungajan.
Right, the right knee is.
Bimoyala Cho Doche.
The left, right knee is Mahabala, and the left knee Yumpata. Tobuchi. Mahabala.
Mahabala. And it's to the Judo College.
And then the La. Yumpa dan yepa kasa yumpa dan yepa nyemason. Yeyun kasa bu. So then at the crown of the head is Ushnisha Chakravarti.
Ane Gandhi news, ane Cho, ane Sumbaraza. Cho Gandhi news, Neze. Cho Neze Javo.
Kangbetila. So at the base of the feet, then is the yakshas, yaksha Nitze
Javo.
Sumbaraja.
Oh yeah. Oh, they say Canada, sound to be last from your Sony, the Luigi, last from your Sony, the Dire. And then Lami, you get Chacha Tetan, Tegi. Any last also Yige, go to Yige Tetan. Any or Luigi Chacha Tetan, Tegi, Henry Chajanda. And then Yelen Chavala Jana, Latata, the Jabba Yizang. Luigi said, Luigi combated Tenita. 经过先讲把它抄的送啊，经过第一章，瀑布南的地形啊，康熙、永熙、节节在去城南强就先帮我跑步这种年纪去到养了，主要安保年在都些。
So this is the body mandala as it's explained in Guhya Samaja with the 32 deities. This is explained as having special properties because of the way in which the specific causes that give rise to it, the particularity of the causes that give rise to it, and Lenji Chikindan, Nyelendi, Lenji Chikindan.
Luigi Chatetan Tegi, Sanji Chejana, Larangi, Yigi Sabin Tegi, and Luigi Chatetan Tegi, Nilenda, Larangi, 이게 옴나서와 사변되기 현지 체제 채와라 때네 안에 사태한테 어째와 이제 유지스.
Okay. So the body mandala arises such as that the various mantras that appear in the different parts of the body function as the cooperative condition for the arising of these deities, and then out of that, then the body mandala is presented in this way.
오야, 나한테는 가서다. 요새 조정 늦은 상황 지금 반함 섭진네 시대를 다 대인발에 요새 아니 요새 초종 요새 최윈내라 아니 샤도 요새 최윈내라 아니 샤도 자진당 아 소로 아니 신지शे라 소와 아니 요새 최윈내라 그렇지 요새 초종 늦은 상황 지금 반함 아니 중국지나라 뭐 샵지 된라 샤워도 그렇지 샵지 된라 아니 이단 번에서 타고 점심 오지라마 이단 중국 아니 담아지 마체가나 아니 담아 등마 담보텔라 아니 파지 상원도 봐라서 아니 기대시 나네 나주 주당 아니 나주 라메 주당 되네 나주 가서 나주 주당 아니 주당 차주당 되네 계산 그 산제 도나 아니 더시와 치도 가서 시원하시 뒤와라 되네 다 간도 최종다 아니 최종 간도다 그 최종 나와서 왔다 림바시도 마 안아서 다 탄갈로 요나 신이체니 사다이 말이 요새 최종 유진사와 지된 바나 섭지대 타고 림신 야테발라다.
So then the light that comes out of, as I said, then this describes then the form of Vajradhara in the body mandala aspect of the Guhya Samaja. And so again, to review that the 5 aggregates are the purified forms of the 5 Tathagatas are the purified forms of the 5 aggregates. The 4 elements appear purified are in the form of the 4 mothers, and then all of the purification. Purified forms of the cognitive spheres, as well as all of the body parts and the limbs appear in, or the different parts of the body appear in the form of these actual bodhisattvas as enumerated. Then the pores, here talking about the top of the head principally, appear as 21,000 arhats. Now, here one doesn't actually visualize all of the 21,000 arhats, but it rather thinks that they're appearing in that form. And then the limbs of the Guru Buddha are actual wrathful fury kings, wrathful fury kings, and the light rays which radiate out from that Guru Buddha in this form are Dharma protectors, are yakshas. These are yakshas, and then also guhyakas. And then the last line of this verse 12 then says that his feet he has as for his feet the worldly gods. Now, the worldly gods don't actually appear within the context of the mandala as such, but this is placed within here. So then one visualizes surrounding him in sequence one's direct and lineal lamas. The chosen deities here is translated as yidams in Tibetan. These deities are the deities of the 4 classes of Tantra, so that starting with the unexcelled Yoga Tantra, one can visualize those deities that pertain to that class of Tantra. Then the Yoga Tantra class, the next class so-called below that, and then there's the Charya Tantra, the Tantra that has to do with the behavior and performance of behavior. Then the Kriya Tantra, which is the ritual tantras. All of those deities are arrayed, and then there's a host of the deities of these mandalas, as well as the Buddhas. As we mentioned previously, there's the Buddhas of the confession Buddha practice, the Buddhas of the medicine Buddha practice, and then the other sets of Buddhas and so forth are arrayed, and then bodhisattvas, heroes, dakinis, dharma protectors, dharmapalas, an ocean of them surround him. So here, the way we can learn this is by examining the way it's presented in the paintings, where all of those are set out on the assembly field.
Oh yeah, 타고 점심 오지 라마 세다 오지 라마 되는 차 주가 차인 거라. 타고 점심 오지 라마 세가나 아니다. 라마 통한 도시 창기 투가래 요새 예주스 트윈 내라. 아니 봐봐 참반라 아니 자주지 그 라마 마고 하체. 아니 예주 트윈 내라 지진 전배양라 삼모다 주그 라마. 아니 다 가담 삶마다 가다니마 마 주바트즈 마 그해체 아니 요새 잡줘서 띵줘서 트빈 내라 아니 다 실로니 주기라마 산데 직습니다 가담 틀레 주루다 아니 자진 그 주바체야제네 다 라마 땡아 두스천 고고 아래 자진 그 주바데 지지제한 그 나바제 차장체 두스체제 어제 아니 딘도 천정에도 그 자와라마 체이가라
So where it says that surrounding him is the direct and lineal lamas of the lineage. Here, this what we think with the visualization and the way it's portrayed also in the paintings in brief is that on the right, when the light rays go out from Munindra Vajradhara at the heart of the Jaya Rinpoche, the central figure there, those three beings encase one within the other. Then from the heart, it goes out to the right. Then that appears in the form of the lineage, manifests in the form of the lineage of the profound, the lineage of extensive practices, which is headed by Lord Maitreya and then transmitted through Asanga and so forth, the masters of that lineage. And then the light rays to the left appear in the form of the lineage of the profound view, which is headed by Lord Manjushri and then Nagarjuna and the other masters of that lineage. And then the light rays going to the rear manifest in the form of the profound blessings lineage, which is the lineage the blessings lineage, and that appears in the form of the gurus of the gurus who brought into us and transmitted down to us the tantras of, especially the tantras of Guya Samaja, Guya Samaja, Vajrabhairava, and Chakrasamvara. Those three in particular, as well as there's the Karam Tikli Churuk, the 16-drop practice that is transmitted down through the Karam tradition, including the early Kadampas and the later Kadampas as well. And so those are all represented in that. And then in the front, the light rays appear in the form of the lineage of lamas that goes from one's own, the lamas you've directly taken teachings from, back to the lineage of that.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mahamudra, and likewise within that, we think especially of the Mahamudra lineage that is being presented.
대체간다 타고는 오지나마 이담经过 하조다 산재 찬선 바오 간소 대선자지 관내 슈 대다 고슴 도시 숨자 홍이 세자주의 아니 고슴라 지오고도 정 어문가 준바송도시 아마보 투가 또 정원도 아니 대와서 아니 산내도 하장고 제가나 어디 가나 소세보 하장고 두스고데 가나 아니 내 생각에 사변도 막거니 다 측신라 숨나 통금에 대다 고숨 도시 숨제살만도 통금문들이 아니 그거 아니 말이 대다 고숨 도시 숨제 아니 아마도 창그 투기 홍이라 위해서 처배 아니 대다 고숨 도시 숨제 홍이에서 자주이 라신네 20 원바탄데 20번은 젠장 줄 제가 다 젠장해 돼 말이.
So then we visualize at their three, it says here in the text, verse 14, at their three doors, meaning at their forehead, throat, and heart. There's the three representing the three vajras. There's the three syllables, the om, white om at the forehead, the red ah at the throat, and the dark blue hung at the heart. But actually, there are two additional letters that one can visualize. There's a so and ha, which are visualized at the crown of the head and at the navel as well. And soha. Sangne suha. So there's the so renjungi. So the kaba. So 사세보 kaba.
이제 tema 이게 사자단 되그래. 이건 어려다.
So these letters, then you can visualize them as
소세보 하장구래. 있잖아.
소세보 하장구. So the letter so is gold or yellow, and the letter ha is green, and those are placed at the crown of the head. I'm sorry, the navel and the secret place. Thank you. They're at the navel and the secret place, and yeah. So that those all five then collectively then represent the five Tathagatas as were enumerated previously.
아니 소신 대남지 투간에 아니 왜서 트니 왜서 아니 초지 트와라 때네 아니 이세바 젠데나 젠데라 대다 고슴 도지슴 성위 시자 랑신네네 이세바는 답배자 가실에 젠장예메 땜바 주르세 배샤카지는 공바탄다 이세바나 젠장 주르세 제발요 말다.
So from those the 홍익
홍익대 소신남지 투간에 왜서 트 왜서 그냥 안에 두 왜서 트데 아니 이세바 젠장데로 와.
So then it says here in the text itself, it only mentions the three places, the three doors, and the three vajras that are placed at the forehead, throat, and heart. But again, the visualization can be done with the other two letters included as well. And then from the Hungyik, at the heart of all of the beings that have been visualized, then light rays are emitted, and they appear in the form of, at the end of them there are hooks, and those hooks function to invite the gnosis beings from their usual place, and then draw them in and cause them to be inseparably fused with the visualized samaya sattvas that have been visualized, the pledge beings that one has visualized, and cause them to be stabilized within that form.
가서 라신네 공바탄데 이세바나 전장 추세가 라신진네 세데 추구라 라신진네 세네 될네 수구나 바 전장와 네 쳐다봐 아니야 오메라 라신진네 세네 체네 테네 아니 전장발라서 다 가셔 요아리 다 된데디 추구라 라신진네 세네 아니 수구나 바 전장와 라신진네 세데 추구라 라신진네 세네 테네 수구나 바 전장와.
So here in the text it says they're invited from their actually ordinary places is a better translation for this. Their ordinary place, and ordinary place here one can explain this in different ways, but in fact it is a reference here to the Dharmakaya, the natural or ordinary place where the gnosis beings reside is in the Dharmakaya. And then they're invited, drawn down into the Samaya Sattva, or visualized beings. And that is what one is doing in this process is having those beings go from their Dharmakaya state into the embodied form of the it's called Rupakaya, or embodied forms of Buddhahood.
我讲，俺那卡说的，上节给一些给俺那去他们家来查阅吧一张，一些去过的，提定个当把给我你个去他们家来查阅吧一张，俺那去过俺来，如果那把检查的，有些他人不抓门吧，俺那我这有些这的，俺那有些这把那的呢，俺那出一些吧。 俺那出行给那把，那么去出行给那把，把都没把检查的，他的记了，东西，俺那出行给那把记了他们，这样俺那顿顿，俺那啥大把给告诉的，他那马修的，俺那他不修，俺那他他那他不看，俺那修，他那你是没把就是。
So in fact, you could say that because the Dharmakaya is gnosis, which is cognizing emptiness in a non-dual fashion, and the gnosis, that emptiness pervades the entirety, everything that exists. Therefore, that the emptiness pervades the entirety of everything that exists. Therefore, that gnosis as well pervades the entirety of everything that exists. But so it's not in reality necessary to invite that from some great distance. But here, the light rays you're visualizing as if they're going out. The light rays from the beings that you visualized in front of yourself, they're going out and pervading the entirety of the universe, and then drawing these the gnosis beings from their natural state or the ordinary place that they reside, which is in that the condition or state of the Dharmakaya. And so then one draws them down or visualize them being drawn down, and one sees them taking on that embodied form of the physical embodiments of Buddhahood in the forms of all of the individual holy beings that one has visualized in front of oneself, and so they appear in each of those individual forms. And they all go into those visualized forms that one is visualized within the assembly field as you've done that. And so then the next line says, Zahung Bam Ho. Those syllables or mantras are, the first one, Za, indicates the literally hooking of the gnosis beings from the Dharmakaya. Zahung is drawing them down and entering into the visualized forms. The Samaya Sattvas, or the pledge beings that one has visualized, and then Hung Zahung, again, Zahung Bahung.
Zahung Bahung, c'est un petit peu, that's an issue,
Basically, what the general way I was explaining is that they're being drawn in and then caused to reside within the visualized forms, the Samaya Sattvas, or the pledge beings that one has visualized, and then they're stabilized there, and then they're caused to be indivisible from the visualized or beings that one has, the visualization that one has created.
Oh yeah. Sa shi be je shu shen me do zhang ri ra len xin yin de jian ba san jie xin du me de bu wa ye zhou gen nam da xian la jie ba yi dang gu ru ran na men da la guan ni ya da ya me da ge qin ye sa yue ge wa de dan dang zhou wa gui la jie ba ji zhen lo san zhe ba ye den bi yin bu ren du sa jie shou
Dear nearing doom,